Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, it's a game, it's a watch, it's Mario's Bombs Away, everybody hit the deck! It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with ya. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going so good. I am so
Welcome
excited.
to Game & Watch Month.
I can't believe it.
We're there.
Sort of. I mean, we
the
are...
listener is there.
That's right. We are in
Yeah.
Game & Watch Month. Yes, is it starting a week late? You could argue that.
You could argue that. Are we recording this 3 weeks before?
It's time folding in on itself.
That's right.
In a way that just reminds us how meaningless it all is.
Wow. Okay, this is where we're starting. This is the energy that we're starting with today.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, you
when
got
I was enjoying some chewing gum today, and on the packaging, it says that it is ADA, American Dental Association,
Sure.
accepted.
Mm,
Not like
they haven't disowned
not
it.
recommended,
Right.
not like approved. It's accepted, which feels like such a resigned way to
Yeah.
like say that, where it's just like, yeah, they're fine with it.
Did you say recommended?
No, but somebody like
Yeah.
that's free money
Yeah.
for whoever wants to trademark that. But it got me thinking of like for commercials for toothbrushes.
Yeah.
And they're like 9 out of 10 dentists would recommend this toothbrush. And it's like, that's fine, but I don't want to talk to them. I want to talk to the one
Yeah.
that wouldn't. Because
Tell me
what
about the holdup.
happened?
Tell me about the
Exactly.
holdout.
What happened with this toothbrush that they were like, no, I wouldn't use this toothbrush.
And why don't they just find another dentist? Well, and that's the terrifying thing, is that like when they say 9 out of 10 dentists recommend, it doesn't mean one dentist that they talked to said, nah, I don't really recommend this toothbrush. It means 10% of dentists they talked to were like, no, I'm not going to say yes, you should do this.
But why? Like, what was wrong? Because I personally have never. I've used toothbrushes that I like more than others.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
never really been a toothbrush that I'm like, no, I would like go out of my way to tell somebody, do not use this toothbrush.
This is a great point. Why is there no consensus among dentists as to what the best toothbrush is?
And I want to know what those 10% have against the toothbrush that I'm about to purchase.
It should really be like 99 dentists in 100. Then I can accept the fact that like 1% of dentists are just like contrarian whack jobs, and like we're never going to get through to them, and like that's fine. We live in, different
You're right.
worlds.
They might be dentists. Their whole thing might be like, I don't use toothbrushes at all. I put toothpaste on my finger.
Right. But I can't imagine that dentist recommends that, right?
No, but they accept the chewing gum.
I see. Here's something that I can't say that we recommend, but we do accept my copy of Sonic Forces. Would you like to borrow it? You can certainly try. All you gotta do is email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com and give us a mailing address where we can send you my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. You play it for as long as you want. You send it back. There might be a copy of Untitled Goose Game in there, which also belongs to me. But you can play that for as long as you want to, and then send it back. Costs you nothing. It's a perfect borrowing program.
The other thing you can do is you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. We genuinely appreciate it so much. It is a way for people to find the show, to grow this little society we call the Nintendo Cartridge Society. And it's something that genuinely Patrick and I look forward to every time we have a new review. Because really, we love hearing from you in any form.
Absolutely.
When people interact with us on Twitter, when people send us emails, even if we don't read every email on the show, we do read, and I try to respond to every email.
Yeah.
We genuinely love everybody who's part of this little society of ours. So thank you so much to everyone who has left us a 5-star review in the past. Reminder that if you don't leave us a 5-star review on the US Apple Podcast Store, there's a good chance we won't see it. But if you hit us up on Twitter or you send us an email, we would love to give you a shout out on the show.
Yeah, so just do that, and you know that email address, Nintendo Cartridge Society
@gmail.com.
The next note on our show notes here is October is Game & Watch month.
We're in it.
We're in it. So for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about Game & Watch. But we are starting. right now, and then for the 2 weeks following, we'll be talking about Game & Watch.
A totality of 3 weeks,
A totality,
at least.
Yes. I mean, who knows? We could go on forever and ever. It's maybe a
This could
Game & Watch podcast.
Yeah, it could just become a Game & Watch podcast. That is something we should all be terrified of.
Yes. Okay, Mark, let's get into it because we've got some sort of table setting to do here. Let's do it. Let's guess what every Game & Watch game actually is. Now, so it's important that we are recording this early, right? Because we want to do our homework as far as Game & Watch is concerned. We want to, when we get to our informative episodes, we want to know what we're talking about, at least a little bit. This episode, however, different story.
Oh, we are going to be so stupid
We're going to be
episode.
so dumb. I mean, it's going to be like like in cartoons when they would put like the dunce hat on someone and make them sit in the corner of the one-room schoolhouse? That's us.
Oh man, we are both going to be wearing the most enormous dunce caps possible.
Nintendo Dunce Society. That's what we are today. Because as to our vision here at the outset, pre Game & Watch month, we know that there are 47 Game & Watch games. This is not to say that there are 47 different like Game & Watch machine and game like combos. We know that it's been iterated on a bunch of times, but there are 47 games that make up the library.
Yeah, and we're not counting the 35th anniversary releases of the Super Mario Brothers Game & Watch and the upcoming Zelda Game & Watch.
Right. And we are going to sometimes know, we're going to go through the list of all 47, and we are either going to know what the games are, and we'll talk about them, or we're going to look at the title and guess based on what we know about Nintendo, what we know about these IPs, and what we know about Game & Watch itself. Again, at this point, I would consider us both Game & Watch neophytes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, on that note, before we get into the games themselves, do you think that it's appropriate for us to talk about Game & Watch in general?
Sure.
And just kind of set the table for what Game & Watch is.
Sure. So Game & Watch is a line of portable, like handheld consoles, not consoles, but handheld machines that Nintendo started putting out in 1980.
I think so.
And would continue to release them throughout the 80s. And they are single game machines. So like we were making fun of it on our Game Boy episode a couple weeks ago. But the fact that you could change games out, in the Game Boy was novel because the Game & Watch, they were all single-use games. They were all in black and white using a like liquid crystal display, kind of like those old like Tiger handhelds.
Yeah, that's like the reference, because I never owned any Game & Watch machines, but I definitely owned like the Tiger Electronics kind of like variations on this idea.
Yeah. And Tiger did a lot of like other video game companies that they had like a Double Dragon one, and then they also did a lot of like licensed stuff. And we are going to encounter some licensed games in here, which is very exciting to me. I can't wait to guess what Mickey and Donald is. But for the most part, like these kind of circle around Nintendo properties, and like occasionally are games that we have seen in Nintendo things since. Right.
Yep. And the gameplay on all of these, because it is a single screen.
Yeah.
And the way that the gameplay is built is there is like predefined. I don't even know how you describe it, like line graphics.
Yeah.
And depending on what is happening on the screen, like if something is falling from the sky, then like it'll light up the first ball that's falling, and then the second, and that's how it conveys motion. And so your movements and everything are very predefined. It's not like it's the Mario game is going to be like the first level of Super Mario Brothers, and there's a lot of scrolling and a lot of like jumping. It's like, no, generally there's like 3 or 4 actions that you can take, and that's like the totality of it.
Yeah, well, and like, yeah, like to your point, so like the visuals here strike a very strange balance between like they are weirdly detailed because it is just a single image that like appears, right, and is not constrained by like pixels or anything, but we're talking single frames of animation per second, right?
Yep.
Like really limited motion, even if the individual graphics are surprisingly good in a lot of these cases.
And probably the reference that most people have for Game & Watch now is Mr. Game & Watch from Super Smash Brothers. And, the way that Mr. Game & Watch moves, where there's not really animation per se, it is just going from one pose to the next.
Right.
You are experiencing what Game & Watch was like.
Right. And you'll see Game & Watch, show up in, like, WarioWare has a Game & Watch thing in it. I'm just going to use another, like, ancient example here, but the Game Boy Camera had, like, Game & Watch games in it. And yeah, so like these games are still around. So, and I think that is largely going to be how we know some of these.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we've got a list of 47 games. Mark, should we just get into it?
Yeah, let us tarry no further.
We should. So the way we're going to do this is we've got this list. We believe it's mostly chronological. And we are going to see the name of the game. We are going to discuss what we think it is, and then we are going to look it up and read the descriptions as provided by the Game & Watch article on Wikipedia. Not a research-heavy episode for us, right? This is where we're going in. We're seeing exactly, we're guessing, and then we're seeing exactly what Wikipedia says the games are.
Yep.
First up is Ball.
So this one, I think I do know what it is, and
I think you do. Yeah.
It's Mr. Game & Watch is how I think of it.
Yeah.
And you're juggling essentially, like tossing a ball back and forth, keeping it in the air.
Yeah, and starting with one ball and then adding more balls as the game progresses, right? So it's and there are like 3 positions where so you're controlling both hands with like one button of either like moving them both to the left, both to the right, and just have to get under the ball to keep it going and rack up a high score. I don't even think we need to look that one up.
I don't think we need to look it up either. I feel fairly confident.
Yeah, me too.
That we got that one right.
Bam, ball, done, got it.
Starting off on a high note.
Yep, now it's all downhill from there. Flagman.
I'm going to guess it's semaphore related.
Is that the like the signal corps? Like
that's my intention.
Okay.
I don't. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is semaphore. And yeah, so that's what I think it is. Although I'm trying to guess, like, what do you think the gameplay part of that is?
I don't know.
Do you think it's like a Simon type thing?
Where like it does it and then you have to repeat it back?
You're trying to like follow?
That's a good guess. I think this may have something to do with, we frequently see Mr. Game & Watch holding a sign above his head with numbers on it.
Uh-huh.
And I think that may be what this is.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's like you counting things or I don't know. Like I'm seeing it in my head in terms of like the WarioWare where it's like which of these is higher? Like 3 or 8.
Got it. Okay, should we look up and see what Flagman is?
Yeah, do you want to do it?
Okay, so all right, Flagman. The object is to repeat the pattern of numbers on the flags held up by the on-screen character Mr. Game & Watch. A life is lost each time the player pushes the wrong button or hits the correct number too late. The game ends when 3 lives are lost. Game B requires the character to push the right number as quickly as possible before time runs out. So what it looks like is the Game & Watch has like 4 action buttons on it.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
And then Mr. Game & Watch holds up like 2 flags that have numbers on them, and then you have to press the correct buttons as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It's basically like Simon, right? He does because you're repeating the patterns of numbers. So if they're like 1, 2, 2, 1, then you have to push 1, 2, 2, 1. Yeah. All right. That's good. That one's. I think it's interesting the fact that it has 1, 2, 3, and 4 buttons. That like those are the button names.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to highlight ones that we get correct green, so we can go back and at the end see how many we were able to like call.
That's good.
Correct.
That's more complicated than like bolding them or italicizing them. But you've started.
And yet it is the burden I have put on myself, and I will not walk it back.
Game number 3 is Vermin.
I'm guessing this is like, or do you want to take a guess? Because I think I guessed last time.
I believe this is like Whack-A-Mole.
Yeah, that's my guess too.
And I don't think it's as like in a normal Whack-A-Mole thing, they just sort of like pop up. I think in this you see them approach. So there's like a 3-step, like they're far away, they're medium distance, and then they're there. and so some of them will actually approach at faster speeds than others. So I think that's what it is. I believe Vermin is also the game that's included in the Zelda Game & Watch when it comes out at the end of this year.
Oh, replacing Vermin with like Bokoblins or something, or it just is Vermin?
I think they may still be Vermin, but like the guy is Link instead of Mr. Game & Watch.
Do you want to check to verify?
I will trust and verify. Let's see. In Vermin, moles pop out of the ground and try to get into the player's garden. The player has to hit the moles with a hammer to keep them out of the garden. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we got it.
Okay, perfect. Man, we're maybe we are Game & Watch experts.
It seems like we know exactly what we're talking about.
Yep, 3 out of 47, and we are feeling pretty good about ourselves.
Next up, Fire.
Now, this one I think is a misnomer because I believe that this is somebody jumping out of a burning building,
This is
and
my guess
you
as
have
well.
like a trampoline,
Yeah.
and you're trying to get the person to like land on this trampoline.
Like you're controlling two Misters Game & Watch on either side of like a trampoline.
Yes.
Together, like moving them around.
Yeah.
So it's really just another like positioning where the trampoline needs to go. Mark, I think that's probably right.
I think that's probably right, but let us check and make sure.
Here, I got it.
Okay.
The player controls two firemen who carry the trampoline and must catch people who fall from a burning building and bounce them into the waiting ambulance. In the original Silver series, blah, 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 blah. I think we nailed it. Mark,
Okay.
Nailed it.
Another green.
Man, we're like 1/12 of the way done, and we're already correct all the way. Although here's our first challenge, I think. Game number 5 is called Judge.
Yes. Okay. My immediate thought, and I don't think this is correct. Before I even say this, I'm going to say it's probably sports related. But what I would love, like you're a line judge or something.
Yeah, sure.
But what I would love if this is somehow like courtroom related.
Yeah.
And like Mr. Game & Watch is holding
judge.
forth like
Right.
like a kangaroo court of some sort. And people are being dragged in front of him and he's just willy-nilly making decisions based on political influence.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be that. I wonder if it's like gavel related that the gameplay is.
It's like Vermin kind of.
Yeah. Like whenever someone's like lying in the courtroom, you have to like bang the gavel.
Because but like sports related, kind of what I'm wondering is like, I wonder if it's there's like, let's just say like 4 like race cars or horses or something.
Yeah.
That are, and this may be too complicated for Game & Watch, but they're like going to the finish line, and you have to make
it's
like
the
photo
call.
finish essentially. You have to like make the call which one won.
Yeah, I could see that being like interesting and like starting off easy and becoming more difficult as you go. Let's go with that you are some sort of like referee of some kind.
Okay.
Let's
see. All right. Let's see if we're 5 for 5. Judge. Players control 2 figures who hold hammers in their hands and hold up numbers. The one with the higher number must attack, and the one with the lower number must flee. An attack may be performed before the number is held up as a gamble. Interesting.
I'm not even sure I totally understand that. It sounds like it's a kind of like rock, paper, scissors, like bluffing sort of game, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And players control 2 figures. It's a single screen game for either 1 or 2 players. Okay.
Well,
That's interesting. I think this makes it the first multiplayer game that we've encountered,
right?
In the Game & Watch that you could actually play this game against a human being.
So it seems like similar in some ways to Flagman, where it's like each character holds up a number,
right?
And then it's like Twitch controls, where it's like if you have attack, you want to hit that as quick as possible. If you have the higher number, you want to hit that as quick as possible. If I have the lower number, I want to hit guard as quick as possible,
right?
And then that's how. And then if the person who hits it first probably wins, but then you can guess before the numbers are even appeared and like just like say, okay, I'm going to hit guard because I think I'm going to get the lower number this time,
right?
And I will be guaranteed to win. But you could lose automatically. That's kind of interesting.
That is kind of interesting.
Judge, I don't really know like what where the name comes from.
Yeah, but I think we can say pretty definitively that we got that one wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
We do not know what
Shame.
judges.
Red. Do you think that's an appropriate color?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It could be an even more shameful red, and I would be okay with that. Next up is manhole. This one I think I know.
Okay.
This is going to be one of those where there are like people crossing bridges. I think it is specifically 2 bridges. And there are 2 gaps in each of the bridges. And so there are 4 positions for your little man to be in: top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. And you just have to be, over those gaps to allow the NPCs to cross.
Yep, that's 100% right. That's 100% right.
Yeah.
So manhole we nailed. Helmet is up next.
Oh boy. Do you have any guesses as to what helmet is?
Do you think that Mr. Game & Watcher, your character, is like wearing some like a hat, like wearing some sort of helmet, right?
Okay, all right.
And then like objects are falling and you have to try to like catch them on your head.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. That like the goal is to have things hit your head. And are you like, is it possible that you're like deflecting them onto something else? Like, do you have like a springy thing on your head?
Oh, interesting.
That image feels right to me.
Like, okay, so you have like because I think what we learned from Judge, right, is that helmet does not necessarily mean you are using your hat to be protected from something. It probably just means like we didn't want to call this thing hat.
Right. Yes. It features a helmet. I mean, just like fire is actually fireman, right? Like you are firemen. It's so. Can you imagine putting out a product just called Fire?
Everyone's screaming for it. I think you're right. So
okay.
What we're guessing is that your character is wearing a hat that has a spring on top of it.
Yeah.
And the falling objects, which we'll say are balls, are like falling from the sky, and you are trying to have them hit the springs. They're like deflected.
Right. And it's possible that there are like some objects you can deflect and other objects that you can't.
And you have to get out of the way of those.
Right.
All right.
I will read the description here. The player must prevent. No, that's manhole. Tools fall from the sky, but there is a house on the right side of the screen. The player must guide the character towards the house and dodge tools until the doors open.
Oh, that's kind of funny. So it's like you're a construction worker and there's falling tools, and you have to make your way to the work site, and so you have to avoid the tools.
Okay. So we were close-ish, but we had this whole spring thing, and like we made it too complicated. I'm gonna say shame on that one. We did not get that one right.
Next up is lion.
Ooh.
Do you think that this is like a or I guess I will say my guess is that you play as a lion tamer.
Yeah, 100%,
and you are putting your head into a lion, open mouth, and it's kind of like a game of chicken where you're like are trying to pull out like your head out of the lion's mouth like mere microseconds to them closing their jaws.
Right. The closer to him,
the more points you get.
The more points you get. I think that's good. I think it is probably more of this one may be more sort of like rock, paper, scissors-y in that you've got like a chair and a whip and like various options as to like how to defend yourself from the lion, and so you just have to look at the lion's posture and decide which one to use.
Oh, because the lion is going to attack, and so if you like, let's say he attacks up and you're using the chair down,
right,
you're going to get mauled.
Yes.
Oh, right. That's fun. That's fun.
In front of families and people in attendance.
That's right. That's right.
So that's my guess. I think yours could also be right. But Mark.
Okay, so the actual description is the player is a lion tamer, all right, who must prevent the lion from escaping from its cage.
Not super satisfying.
No, so I'm looking at the Game & Watch itself for Lion, and it looks like it's a variation on like an arcade game like the Root Beer Tap.
Kinda, yeah.
Game.
Is this a multi? No, it's a single player game, but it looks like you control lion tamers on either side of the screen.
So in the center of the screen is a cage with like 3 lions in it, and the cage is 3 tiers, and you are a lion tamer who has a chair, So I'm guessing that the lions are like moving at different speeds, and
Right.
your goal is to like block their exit from the cage
Sure.
by moving your character either on the left or the right up to the appropriate level. So really, there's no reason it couldn't be a 2-player game. You would each just like hold the side of it.
Right. So this one sounds like it actually probably has more in common with like Ball, right?
Right,
Where it's
yeah.
just about like positioning. I know a lot of these are going to be
But another one that we are sadly incorrect on.
sadly and shamefully incorrect. Next up is Parachute.
Okay, this one I think we know what it is. Where you have little like Game & Watch men falling from the sky,
Yeah.
and they have parachutes, and you're trying to direct.
Are you in a boat?
You're in a boat and you're trying to pick them up, I think.
Yeah, and then drop them off on the shore. Like that's you get rid of them by like dropping them on the shore and then
Right.
like going
And
back
you're trying to
out
prevent them
yeah.
from falling into the water.
Yeah. I mean that sounds right to me. Let's go to the description. The player controls a character in a boat. There we go, and has to prevent parachutists from landing in shark-infested waters. A life is lost every time a player fails to do this. I think we got that one.
I feel good about that.
In game type B, the parachutes can get stuck in trees. Pretty cool.
I will note that it doesn't seem like you have to drop the people off on the side,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's implied in the world of Parachute that something like that has to be happening.
Yeah. No, I agree. We said enough of the right things to get it to count it as right,
For sure.
as far as I'm concerned.
Speaking of which, Octopus.
Yes, Octopus. Here's the thing: I can picture the Game & Watch Octopus, but I have no idea what the gameplay is. I imagine you're dodging tentacles.
Yeah, you're dodging tentacles because you're not. It's not like a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea situation where you're like fighting them back. Like you're not trying to
Ooh.
hit the tentacles.
Is that what happens in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? They fight it back? Don't they just like electrify the submarine and like zap it off them?
Well, I mean, in the Disney movie, at first they like get outside of it,
Uh-huh.
you know, and they're like throwing spears at it, and
so
its little
cool, man.
beak is,
Yeah.
you know, chomping people up. But I do think they eventually electrify it.
Yeah.
So I think you're right that you are not like attacking this giant octopus. The octopus is attacking you, and you are trying to avoid it. Probably, I think you're right for like treasure. Like the octopus is like
Yeah,
protecting treasure.
Treasure feels right.
And you're
what
trying.
what are you? Are you in a boat?
No, I think you're a man.
Oh, you're like a scuba man.
I think you're a scuba man.
I think you're a scuba man. Okay, I think we're still a little like hazy on the details. But Mark, would you like to read the description?
Sure, yeah. Oh, I will. Okay, looking at the description, I will note that octopus is known as Mysteries of the Sea and Mysteries of the Deep in the United Kingdom, which I think is very
That's
evocative.
so good. Did we miss other like alternate names that are better? I'm gonna quick scroll back. Helmet is known as Headache
That's good.
in the UK.
That's good.
Which is good. It's much better. I like it. Fire was originally known as Fireman in North America, which is perfect. I don't know why, but the doubling up on Fireman makes it so much more charming.
Vermin was originally known as the Exterminator.
And-
Again, a better
yeah.
name.
And Flagman is alternately known as Flagman, two separate words.
Ball is originally known as Toss Up.
How do you feel about that? Which one do you think is better?
I feel like Juggle makes the most sense, right?
Right. I think you're right. But I think Ball is also fine. There's something so like dumb and rudimentary about calling a game Ball that really pleases me.
Octopus. The object is to recover treasure from a sunken ship without getting caught by an octopus. The player must aim his diver underwater by jumping off the side of a boat. Each time so a boat is involved.
Yep.
Each time the octopus touches the player, 1 life is lost. A point is awarded for each portion of treasure retrieved from a sunken ship, and 3 additional points are awarded for evading the octopus a second time and returning to the boat. The game speeds as it progresses. I'm guessing that's supposed to be the game speeds up as it progresses. And additional lives are granted at 200 and 500 points. In game B, the octopus is quicker and there are more hazards.
Man, let's remake Octopus for 2021. This sounds great.
That does sound really fun.
Mysteries which do you prefer? Mysteries of the sea or of the deep?
I think of the deep.
Mysteries of the deep.
Yeah.
Come on.
You could instead of being an octopus, it could be one of those like scary crab spider type things. Who knows what's
we
in
could have multiple levels. I want to fight a big
That's
eel.
right. Dream big. Yes. Oh my gosh, a big eel for sure. Next up, I'm marking that one as green.
Yeah. Yes, we got that one. Next up is Popeye.
Yes. And so there's an arcade game.
Yes.
This must be from the era where Nintendo had like the Popeye license.
Yeah.
From, King Features.
Which is like 81, I think.
Yeah. So,
Did you ever play the Popeye arcade game?
I don't think so. I've only ever watched like videos like Jeremy Parrish's,
Yeah.
like NES Works videos
Yeah.
on it. Because there was a
Wait,
was
was
there
there an NES?
oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe he was talking about Donkey Kong or something. And
Yeah,
in
and
the
it was
history
just
of
showing
was
video
talking
of it.
about,
I know
Popeye.
that there was a bar that my father used to go to in Wisconsin. Your kids can just hang out with you in a bar. It's just like a thing. And there was a bar that had a Popeye machine in it.
Oh,
So I have played Popeye in the arcade. And it is very Donkey Kongy, but with like punches instead of jumps, really. But otherwise it's a single screen experience. Popeye like kind of moving back and forth and up and down, trying to like get spinach and save olive oil.
Right, from
Yeah.
Bluto, right?
Yeah,
And so does this have to be that different? Could it just be that?
I think it could really be just like that, except obviously it'll just be one screen the whole time.
Right.
Yeah, so probably moving around left and right, punching probably also left and right.
Probably, yeah.
And getting spinach, saving olive oil.
Yep. Okay, let's check. The player controls Popeye, who has to catch objects thrown by olive oil while at the
Ooh.
same time avoiding Bluto's attacks. If Popeye is upright in the center of the boat, he's on a boat.
No, we got this one wrong.
He's safe from Bluto's attacks, but he may miss objects thrown by olive oil. The game speeds up as it progresses, and olive oil will start throwing more than one object at the same time. So yes, all right. So looking at it, Popeye is in a boat, and you move left and right. Olive oil is at the top left of the screen, and she's throwing objects down to Popeye.
And
so
it looks like what is she throwing? Is she throwing beer, pineapples, and cans of spinach?
Yes, but then Bluto appears on the right and the left. On the left, he's underneath. He's on like a lower level underneath.
And he's got a
olive
hammer.
oil, and he's got a mallet. And then on the right, he's on top of a boat punching down at Popeye. And so you're just floating left and right, trying to avoid Bluto's punches while catching the objects that olive oil is throwing at you.
And truly, if you've never seen the Popeye Game & Watch, go look it up because the art is actually really good.
Yeah.
Really kind of excited. I would love to get my hands on a copy of this Popeye game. We messed it up for sure.
Sadly, did not get that one right.
Did not know that one. Should have guessed. He's the sailor man. We should have guessed that he was in a boat.
Next up is Chef.
Okay, you controlled Jon Favreau.
Grilled
Dressing down
cheese.
a restaurant critic. What do you create?
Scarlett Johansson featured in the box art, not so much in the game very much herself.
What do you think? What do you think Chef is? Oh, you know what? I think I know what it is.
Okay.
I think I do know what it is. I'm guessing that it is the flapjack flipping one, where you control Mr. Game & Watch, and he's got a frying pan. He tosses pancakes up, and you have to like reposition to get under the pancakes and keep them flipping.
I bet you're right. That's not, okay. The player controls a chef who flips various pieces of food, including sausage and fish, into the air with a pan. Failure to keep the food airborne causes a mouse to steal the food off the floor and the player to use up one miss. The game ends with the player's third miss. A cat often pokes the left piece of food, which holds it in place for a small amount of time, makes it harder for the player to guess when the piece will be flippable.
Okay, so I said pancake, but I think that's the only thing really that I got wrong. I forgot. I don't know where I've played this game, but I'm certain that I have. Because like I can like imagine the cat appearing in the corner to like hold something for a second and then let it go.
Yeah, I mean maybe you saw it in Super Smash Brothers.
Possible.
Because Mr. Game & Watch has a move called Chef, which has him flip food out of a pan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're counting that one as got it.
Yeah.
The only detail I got wrong was pancake.
Yes.
He's still flipping everything like a pancake. Next up is Mickey Mouse. Mark, you want to take a stab at this one? Because do you know where my mind goes with like Nintendo and Mickey Mouse games is the old NES Mickey Mouse Capades, which was a labyrinthine like awful exploration shooter platformer that was so difficult.
I don't know. I don't know this game.
Mickey Mouse Capades is wonderful. We should play it sometime. But this can't possibly be that because Mickey Mouse Capades is like weirdly advanced for an NES game.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I think my mind is stuck on like Popeye
Yeah.
because I'm like, okay, Mickey Mouse is in a boat. Minnie Mouse is throwing stuff to him. You know, Pete is like trying to punch him in the head.
I mean, that's a great. What if it really is just like a palette swap, like an art swap of Popeye?
Yeah, I'm not. Oh, okay. No, we're so wrong. We are so wrong. In the oh wait, there's two different ones. Okay, so there's a widescreen version and then a panorama version.
Okay, read us the widescreen version. I'll read us the panorama version.
Okay, the player controls Mickey Mouse, whose task it is to catch eggs as they roll down 4 slopes,
What?
2 on either side of the screen. If an egg is dropped, it lands on the floor, releasing a chick who walks away. The eggs fall over more quickly as the total clock closes in on multiples of 100. Periodically, Minnie Mouse appears out of the window. If Mickey misses an egg while Minnie is present on screen, the miss counts as half. The gameplay is similar to Egg, so there we go.
Okay, which now we will guess egg right when we get to it in a second.
So yeah, so I guess it's more similar to
it's almost more like vermin.
Yeah,
except you're catching instead of, or like fire almost.
Right.
Fireman.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's similar to like Parachute, like all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
where things are coming and they come at increasing speeds, and you just have to try to like catch them.
The panorama version of the game is completely different. In this game, the player controls Mickey Mouse, who is performing acrobatics in a circus. The player must move Mickey left and right to catch balloons while avoiding flaming torches. The speed of the objects increases, blah, blah, blah. No, that's it.
Okay, so we got this one
Dead wrong.
Not close at all. But up next is Egg, which now I'm feeling pretty good about.
Yeah. In Egg, the player stops eggs from rolling down 4 different slanted things, 2 on either side of the screen.
How do we count this one? Do we count this as...
We count it as, I mean, we know it, right? We got it before we read the description of it.
That's okay.
Counts as a win.
Turtle Bridge.
Now, this is a level from The Legend of Zelda?
Okay, I'm going to guess that this is similar to Manhole, and that turtles are crossing a bridge, and it is your job to like make sure they cross successfully and not fall into like holes.
That's a good guess. I don't have anything else. The description here is the player uses a line of 5 turtles as stepping stones to transfer baggage from one side of a river to the other. Once a package is tossed to a colleague on the other side, the player can return home to the home bank to fetch the next package. The turtles are not motionless, but will dive. The turtles, are not motionless, but will dive to feed on any fish within reach. They dive more frequently as the game progresses. So it almost sounds like it's more of a like Frogger sort of thing.
Yeah,
you're using the turtles as like
a bridge.
Yes.
I should have. We should have just taken it at face value and not tried to overthink that one.
But look, we have now encountered one game that is like an almost literal, just like retelling of a previous game, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So we have to know that that's in there somewhere.
Up next is Fire Attack.
Is this a play on Fireman, or is it a different?
So,
by the way, I'm just calling Fireman now. I will never go back.
Fire Attack, my first thought is like, you are playing as the fire, but there's no way that is right. I think it's the opposite, where it's like fire is attacking you. So I think you're a fireman, you have a hose, and you are trying to put out fire it's like whack-a-mole, but with fire.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a great guess. The main character uses a tomahawk-style weapon to protect a fort from burning.
Huh. So, okay,
so this one may be racist. Yeah, it is. So, like, okay. Looking at the screen, it's clear that you are like defending a fort, and obviously, like an old West, style fort. And Nintendo was, mapping some Native American imagery onto that they, couldn't have understood, and
That's an excuse.
No, not to make an excuse for it, but that is an excuse for why we're going to stop talking about
Yep.
it.
Red.
Red. But that one, that's a shame on Nintendo. is
Yes.
what it
How
is.
would we have guessed?
Yeah. Well, this is something we have to figure out now: is which of these games are racist?
Well, dare we say possibly Snoopy Tennis, the next game on our list?
Snoopy Tennis.
I'm gonna guess it's a tennis game
Yeah.
with Snoopy, and you can potentially control like Snoopy on both sides of the court, and you're just trying to volley a ball back and forth, and you like the more you can volley, the higher your points go. Is my guess.
So, sort of Pong-esque.
Yeah, except instead of trying to score on the other person, it is just like you just get points for continuing the volley. Is that how Pong works?
No.
Pong is more like air hockey, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
yeah. So I think it's about like continuing the volley, and so maybe like
okay.
ball in that way.
Okay. We will use that guess. Oh my gosh. Charlie Brown throws and hits a ball towards Snoopy, who must hit the ball back. Lucky sometimes will hit the ball to Snoopy. Boy.
I mean, it's
Real
Wikipedia.
real mystery here.
Any help from like the illustration of the?
No, but well, kind of. So it is a very handsome machine. It's got like the normal sort of Game & Watch like gold.
It is really
color.
nice.
But the plastic on it is purple, like the really like cool lavender. And so it looks like you move Snoopy up and down with buttons on the right side, and there's a hit button on the left, which is interesting. That movement is on the right and an action is on the left. That's the reverse of every other game ever made.
So this one's kind of it's like I was describing it more as like a straight up like tennis like court and like game, and that is definitely not the case. You're like outside. Snoopy's going up and down on a tree. And characters are appearing from the left to just like toss things that Snoopy has to volley back. So I would say like no, unless we're creating a new yellow category.
Ooh, let's create a yellow category.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So we kind of got that one.
We kind of got that one right. Next up is oil panic. Is this like oil drilling that there are like oil derricks in here and like?
Oh man. But what do you think you're doing? Do you think you're like running around trying to catch the oil that comes out of the derricks like in a bucket or something?
No, I bet like you're a roughneck who is like moving around between the oil derricks and like either it's like a managing the pressure kind of thing, like going to one, like turning it down, and then moving to another one and turning the pressure down.
Okay.
Is my thought.
Okay. I think it might be more like just like oil
like
is spurting out, kind of like, or I think you're trying to collect the oil. Like I think you have like a bucket and the oil is spurting out of the oil derrick, and your job is to like catch it.
This is some good use of lingo here, I think, on this one. Mark, would you like to read the description?
So, oil panic. The player controls a station helper who uses a bucket to catch drops of oil from a leaking pipe and empties the bucket into an oil drum. Missing a drop from the pipe or missing the oil drum causes the player to lose a life. The player has 4 lives rather than the usual 3.
This is a dual screen one.
Oh yeah, so this machine looks very similar to like a Nintendo DS essentially. Yeah. There's a screen on top, a screen on bottom, and like the buttons and the controls are on the bottom screen.
It's real cool. Mark, I think you basically got this one right.
I got maybe the essence of the gameplay right, but definitely not the setting.
Yeah.
So maybe this is another yellow.
Yeah.
Now that it exists.
Do another yellow now that it exists. I'm glad that it's there. Those will count as what? Half points?
Half points, I think.
Half points. I like that. Next up, Donkey Kong.
I think this might just straight up be like essentially Donkey Kong. Probably Donkey Kong and I always say Penelope, but that's not right.
No, it is
Pauline.
Yeah.
So Donkey Kong and Pauline are at the top of the screen, and Mario's just like dodging barrels that are being thrown down at him, is my guess.
So basically, and so do you think you just like walk to the right and then up, walk to the left, up, walk to the right, up?
Probably.
Yeah, that it is like level 1 from Donkey Kong, but without the sort of like diagonal component to it.
Yeah, that's my guess.
That's my guess as well. Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong was created. Nope. Mark, I don't know.
Oh, it doesn't.
It doesn't. I am finding. So it's a dual screen. Yeah. So okay.
Yeah.
Looking at the actual dual screen itself. That is exactly what it is. The first two, and honestly, I'm wrong in saying that it doesn't do the diagonal thing. It's really using the real estate of the two screens to make it so that there's like two diagonals on one screen and another two on the top.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we got that one.
I think we did too.
Okay.
And I think so. The next one is Donkey Kong Jr. I think we can probably guess that it is very similar to, the Donkey Kong Jr. video game, arcade game.
Yeah. So my guess here is actually going to be that it is specifically like the last level in Donkey Kong Jr., where you are climbing up the chains and like putting the keys in the thing to free Donkey Kong. I think because the rest of it is like too dynamic and you're dodging birds. The rest of it is like kind of too dynamic and like interesting to be translated directly to Game & Watch. Mark, I accidentally closed the
well, I will tell you that Donkey Kong Jr. This is another one we just have to look. I think that you are trying to make your way across the vines and up and over with the key to unlock Donkey Kong. And so there must be some sort of, maybe it is the birds.
Yeah. And it looks like there's a like full D-pad worth of control, up, down, left, right, and a jump button. Yeah, maybe this is one. Maybe in my being specific, I made us miss it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
It was a good guess, though.
Thank you. All right. Next up is Mickey and Donald. Two-player game?
Yes. Two-player game. Can be played with two players. So I was way off in the original Mickey Mouse game.
Right.
It ended up being like eggs, which I don't know how you ever would have guessed that. So Mickey and Donald.
I mean, maybe they're both like at the market and they have baskets and they're trying to catch fruits that are being thrown into them.
Good as guess as any.
Okay, great. So Mickey and Donald, in fact, the goal is to put out a fire in a 3-story apartment building as quickly as possible. Donald operates the hose while Mickey runs the pump. Huh.
That feels insanely dynamic for what I know of these characters. For them to be like in charge of putting out a fire.
Yeah. Wow, they're putting out a fire.
Okay. Well, we definitely did not get that one right.
Man, check out the what this thing looks like.
It's another dual screen.
It's another dual screen, and there's a button on the left that says Mickey Mouse and a button on the right that says Donald Duck.
They look like light switches.
They do look like light switches. Like you're really just controlling two different positions for each one of them.
That's so strange.
Yeah. Boy, that's a weird one. Okay,
yeah,
well, but we did not get it right at all. Next up is Greenhouse.
Okay.
Oh, okay. It's got to be plant related.
Yeah, plant related.
I had a moment where I was like, greenhouse. How are we going to figure this out?
It is weird that it's 2 words.
Yeah, greenhouse is 1 word.
Okay. So, do you think it's like plants and bugs? Like you're trying to protect plants from like bugs? Do you think?
I think you're probably just watering plants.
Oh,
like
and then
moving around when they sprout or something.
But then, like, do you think there's like spiders or something that are like getting in your way, and so you're just trying to avoid the spiders?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, well, let's see. Greenhouse. The object is to protect flowers at each corner of the screen from enemies using a can of bug spray.
Wow.
Worms attack the top flowers while spiders push the bottom flower. The game ends when 3 flowers have been eaten. I know that we didn't.
We kind of backpedaled on it a little bit.
Well, I know that we said we were saying watering the plants, but I feel like we got this one pretty close.
Yeah.
Also, this is considered by some retro game gamers to be the first appearance of Stanley the Bugman, the lead character in the 1983 arcade game Donkey Kong 3. Because of course in Donkey Kong 3, the character defends the greenhouse from Donkey Kong and insects using a can of bug spray. The character artwork between the two games is also similar design, although I think it's interesting to note that is apparently not canonical, is just something that we all consider to be true.
This is another dual screen one. I gotta say, as we look at these things, the physical design of the Game & Watch is impeccable.
It's very pleasing.
It's so pleasing, and they're just like, you know what? There's like a sort of off-white, like sort of technology color and an accent color, and the accent color is this one is a cool green, and like that's it.
And I like the font
Yeah.
for like Game & Watch and the font for Greenhouse.
Yeah.
And I like the treatment of it has like the Nintendo logo as we know it, but instead of it being like the pill
red,
shape
yeah.
with red, it's like the pill shape with like a matching green or whatever. It reminds me so much of like the futurism of the 80s, like what you would see at
Yes,
Epcot Center
yes.
or in like Tomorrowland at Disneyland during this time. It's very fun.
It's also like way consistent with what the Famicom looked like in Japan.
Totally, 100%.
Like Nintendo was on a cool design kick in the 1980s.
Yeah.
Not to say that they're not anymore, but like
It was just different.
this is so cool.
How do we want to classify Greenhouse?
Yeah, as a win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Donkey Kong 2.
Boy. Donkey Kong 2, a game that does not exist in other formats.
I'm going to guess that it is essentially Donkey Kong, but with a different like layout.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a fair guess. Donkey Kong 2.
Oh no, it looks like it is like Donkey Kong Jr.-esque.
Yes.
So basically, it is another dual screen one, and the bottom screen looks like it is
like that's traversing left and right to get up to the top screen, where you are then climbing chains to. So yeah, I wonder, do you even control Donkey Kong Jr. in this game?
Yeah. Ooh, I wish.
Okay. So there's more description here.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Jr. has to touch a key, then it moves up to the top of the screen.
That's
Donkey
exactly,
Kong Jr. has to climb to the top screen while avoiding things such as electrical wires, crocodiles, and birds. Then when he gets to the top screen, Donkey Kong Jr. will have to touch the key again, and he'll move next to a hole below one of the chains. Donkey Kong Jr. has to climb up the rope below the keyhole while avoiding birds. When he gets to the top of the rope, one of the chains will unlock. He has to do this 4 times until he saves Donkey Kong after the game. After that, the game will start over at a somewhat faster pace.
Yeah, so this really is the final level of Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah, so it's like, so you were totally right about Donkey Kong Jr. just on a different, though it wasn't called Donkey Kong Jr.
Right. Which counts as a miss.
It does count as a miss. I was going to give us a yellow, but you're right. It was a miss.
That's just straight up a miss.
Next up is Mario Brothers.
Oh boy.
I think it's just probably like the Mario Brothers traditional Mario Brothers game,
right?
Where
non-super.
Yes, you're
Mario
in like
Brothers,
a sewer.
yeah.
There's 3 levels. Enemies are coming from the left and right, and your goal is to like defeat them.
From like getting under them and like that sounds like
yeah.
way
How
too
would you do that?
complicated.
Yeah, maybe you have a mallet or something. I don't know. Do you have a different guess?
I don't have a different guess, and this is one where I think like where I don't know that I just don't have a good guess.
Well, we
go with
never
yours.
ever would have guessed this one. Although I will say, check out the Mario Brothers console, like because instead of it is 2 screen, but
Wow.
instead of folding, like a DS does, it folds like a book,
Yeah.
and is pretty cool. Mario and Luigi are working in a bottling plant. On either side of several stacked conveyor belts, the object of the game is to move boxes of bottles through the machine without dropping any. Each brother can climb a ladder to 1 of 3 positions. Mario receives a box at the bottom right and must be in his lowest position to move it into the bottling machine, so on and so forth.
Wow.
Hilarious.
And this is another one where you have one button to control Mario and another button to control Luigi on opposite sides of the screen, and you can just move them up and down. So it's another of that like the Mickey and Donald thing.
Yeah, and you're trying to pass. It sounds like you're trying to pass the bottles between from Mario to Luigi, and Luigi's job is to put it on a truck.
Yeah. So he did. So wow, this is cool.
This was very cool, very expanding on that like Mario Brothers blue collar theme.
Yeah.
Sadly, didn't get that one right.
Next up is Mario's Cement Factory.
You think it's something similar?
Well, this one is just. I'm guessing that there's no Luigi in this one. I think if it's Mario Bros, then it'll be two that you're controlling 2 characters.
Yeah, that's true.
Otherwise, Mario's Cement Factory. It's interesting to see Mario start to show up in these, right? Like,
right.
Now I'm sort of missing Mr. Game & Watch.
Yeah. Well, and this is like, it looks like this is 83-ish. And so...
Do you have a guess as to what this is? I imagine it's pushing barrels of some kind.
And trying to get like cement from one side to the other and avoiding hazards.
Yeah. Also, let me take another swing at that. Wheelbarrow.
Mario Cement Factory puts a player in control of Mario, who works at a cement factory where he funnels cement into cement trucks.
Oh, no.
Mario must navigate 2 dangerous elevators and avoid falling or being crushed and losing a life. He must also continually empty cement into the trucks, or else the cement will overflow and crush one of the workers below, which costs players a life. This feels so like like The Jungle. Like
Yeah,
this
Upton
feels
Sinclair.
yes, like this feels so like Industrial Revolution, just like misery.
Oh, I mean, Mario is anti-capitalist. He always has been. He always will be.
But no, we did not get this one right. Although workers of the world unite.
Next up is Snoopy. Maybe no longer playing tennis. Maybe still playing tennis.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess not playing tennis.
Yeah. I'm going to guess Woodstock features into this one somehow.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know in what way.
Definitely falling objects. Maybe Woodstock is like jumping out of a tree and
you have
has
to
like, catch him.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay.
I'll read this description. When game A or no introductory sequence plays, after that the player controls Snoopy to move on different colored platforms. He must then whack the corresponding colored music notes coming from Schrader's piano before they reach Woodstock and his friends. This is in color?
Interesting.
Snoopy is a Game & Watch game released as part of the Tabletop series in 1983. Wow. What I mean, obviously we get this one wrong, although I'll give myself a quarter of a point for saying Woodstock was involved in some way. So you're just like knocking music notes out of the air by hitting the right color.
And it looks like, okay, see, there's a lot of discovery going on this episode.
Yeah.
Because it looks like the tabletop versions potentially has like, but that must have been so expensive. I don't understand that works. It kind of looks like it has like a small television inside of it.
It does, yeah.
Well, a voyage of discovery.
Yeah, and we got it wrong.
Okay, so that was Snoopy.
Yeah.
Up next is
Rain Shower. Rain Shower. This one makes sense to me. You're holding an umbrella. You're trying to keep something dry.
Yeah.
It's raining, and maybe it's like something on a platform below you that is moving somewhere, and you just got to keep it out of the rain. That's my guess.
Yep, the player moves clothing away from falling raindrops by pulling on a clothesline.
Oh, what? But no umbrella?
But no umbrella, no. So it's like a house and like a tree, and there's clotheslines tied between them. And then I'm guessing as the raindrops fall, you just have to like pull the lines to prevent them from hitting the clothes. Raindrops.
This is another one that opens and closes book style, left to right. Has a full D-pad. And again, Mark, look at the font on Rain Shower.
It's so nice.
This is so cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe we should just be a Game & Watch podcast.
Up next is Lifeboat.
Mark, you want to take a guess as to what Lifeboat is?
I feel like this has to be another parachute type game where something is, or maybe not. Maybe it's like you're trying to get things across from one side of like a river to the other,
or like from a ship that is sinking. And you're like ferrying people over to the shore.
Grim.
Well, it's Lifeboat. This isn't just like casual day on the riverboat. This is a lifeboat.
Oh my gosh, you're right. A burning ocean liner is displayed.
Yes.
And the player pulls a raft through shark-infested waters to catch the people who fall from the ship. The rafts can hold up to 4 people and can be emptied no matter how many people are in them. A point is awarded for each rescue. The alarm on is indicated by a bucket of water on the cliffside. And when it goes off, a man uses the bucket to attempt to douse the fire.
Mark, again, everyone take a look at the design of this thing. It is another opens like a book. They must have been on a tear of this, just having like the double wide screen. And yeah, there is an ocean liner that is just on fire.
And the ocean liner like takes up 3/4 of both screens.
Yeah,
like
it's huge.
It's huge, and then there's like a cliff and an island on both sides. Wow, that's amazing. I love it.
Also, look at the font on Lifeboat. I think it's the Borat font because if you just put an R between the O and the A,
I think you mean
in
the
boat-
Borat is using the lifeboat font.
well, of course that's what I mean.
Green, right? Because you got this one
Yeah, no, I nailed
pretty
it.
solid.
I nailed
Yeah.
it.
Mario's bombs away.
Yeah, partially responsible for our opening at the beginning of this episode. When I shouted, I apologize for that now. Mario's bombs away.
I mean, I have a vague memory that bombs are falling from the sky.
Are you avoiding them or are you
I think you're in
dropping
an
them?
airplane, and I think you're avoiding.
Oh, interesting.
Although, now that I say that, you might be right that you are at the top of the screen and you're trying to drop them on something that doesn't feel right.
No, it feels too violent. So what do you think?
Okay, so I think bombs are falling from the sky. Mario is in an airplane and is trying to avoid the bombs.
And it's like side.
And you
A-
go
a-
back
a-
and
a
forth.
side view?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Let's see. Mario's bombs away. The player controls a military-clad Mario who delivers bombs from left to right and must keep them from falling into flaming oil spills and enemy torches.
Huh.
Not a lot of info from.
Trying to pull up. Okay. Yeah. No. There's a link in the Wikipedia to being like, go here for more information. You go here and it has no more information. But we did learn that these have a color LCD screen without an internal backlight. So yes, they were using color screens in 1983
Wow.
in the Game & Watch Panorama series. So okay,
the
you're
player character's
delivering
a
bombs from left to right.
So,
So-
but you're delivering them. So it's like you
So
are
it must
in,
be like a factory or something.
or you're in the bomber itself, right? Like you're in the
Uh-huh,
plane, like
yes.
moving them into
and you're
position.
military clad.
I don't like this
Weird.
one.
I don't like this one either.
This isn't racist like Fire Attack, but it is wrong like Fire Attack.
Yeah, it's a little too warmongery
yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
So we're moving on.
To pinball.
I'm gonna guess this is a 2-screen,
yeah,
like Nintendo DS style game, and it's pinball, baby.
yeah. That's my guess as well. Let's have a look. A player controls 2 flippers at the bottom of the screen and 2 on the top of the screen. Other pinball objects. It's a pinball game. We nailed it.
Spitball Sparky.
Ooh, what? Spitball Sparky. Is this about a dog or a car?
Oh, I was gonna guess that you're like kind of like Dennis the Menace type student, and you are like shooting
Oh.
spitballs at
Do you think this is
a
one that they?
blackboard, like a teacher's blackboard.
Ooh, that's good. Do you think this is one they designed to be like a Dennis the Menace game, and then at the last
Oh,
minute-
they didn't get the license,
You're right,
and so
that-
they're like,
Me-
Sparky.
At the end of the day, Menace Incorporated was like, "No, you can't use our character."
Menace conglomeration.
International Menace. Sure. Okay, we'll say that it's like a mischievous kid in a school
Okay.
shooting spitballs. Spitball Sparky works similar to Breakout, where a ball moves across the screen and is propelled by the player, blowing it upwards along. So it's a Breakout clone.
So we should describe this machine because it is unlike any Game & Watch that we have seen previously.
Yeah.
It is vertically very tall. It's like a rectangle, and it is very tall. And so the screen is thin and tall.
Yeah.
And at the bottom, there's just like a switch for left and a switch for right, and then a shooter button.
Not a shoot button, but
No.
a shooter button.
Uh-huh.
It looks like the old cable box remote controller, the one that had like the metal on top of it. Do you know what I'm talking
Yes,
about?
I do.
That's what it looks like to me.
Weird. Don't really care for this one.
No, but a brick breaker, which I mean, like you and I are both excited about Alleyway eventually coming to the Game Boy Switch.
Excited? Okay.
Yeah, we're
well.
both into it.
Spitball Sparky, we did not get correct, but I am wearing that red with a badge of honor. Bad name for that game.
Yeah, along the top. Yeah, it's I don't understand what the theming of it is.
Yeah, I don't either.
Anyway, next up is Crab Grab. I think in this one you have to control a crab in like its 2 little
And you're,
pinchies.
and you're grabbing little things that are being tossed at you.
Yeah, I think you probably have to like move them somewhere too. That, like, you have to grab.
But
and
what do
then-
you think? Okay, I think if that is correct, we count this as a win no matter what.
Yeah.
But do you think it's like people are tossing trash and you're trying to like
Ooh.
not let it land in the ocean?
Yeah. Yes, I do think that. I think you're
Okay.
catching empty soda cans specifically.
The objective is to avoid being in front of the crab and to push the crabs from the bottom to prevent them from mounting on the screen. Points are earned by pushing and eliminating crabs. So Crab Grab is another one.
It's like Spitball Sparky.
And it looks like it's part of what is called the Super Color series. And so it's like Spitball Sparky, where it's thin, although not as thin as Spitball Sparky, but is very tall.
You gotta stop saying Spitball Sparky.
It's very tall, and the LCD screen, the background is broken into 4 columns of color: purple, green, red, and blue. And then there's 2 switches at the bottom. One is a left and right, and the other one is up and down. I feel like, we were really praising Game & Watch for a while in the early 80s for its like aesthetics. And I gotta say, the Super Color series,
we've hit a tipping point.
I'm not a fan of.
Super Color series, thumbs down.
Yeah, Crab Grab and Spitball Sparky, no thank you.
This is good. This is informative. I feel like I'm learning a lot as we're doing this. And again, just in the corner of the one-room schoolhouse, just dunce hats on our head. Next up is boxing.
Interesting.
Mark, I think we're getting to the point where I think this is a multiplayer one.
I think it could be multiplayer. I think there's going to be... that makes total sense to me. Because I also think that we're getting to... Like, when we are looking at these other games, like, we're getting to the era where there could be synergies between... I mean, there is for sure. Between, like, Donkey Kong Jr.
and Mario.
Boxing totally could be based on...
Punch-Out,
right? Like, aren't we getting to the era where there's... Like,
I mean,
there
maybe
could be synergies between it. Even in just
Punch-Out is so weird, though, right? Because like
perspective-wise and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, and also just like what it is, right? That it's based on like these big sprites and like being able to like read what the player is or what your opponent is about to do and like responding to it in a very specific way. Maybe it's like that. I think this is a simpler like 2-player. Could even be one of the ones that has like the 2 controllers that like pull out of it. And then you just have like left punch, right punch.
I bet you're right.
That's my guess. And especially going back to a simple name like boxing, I think it's got to just be a real bread and butter experience.
Yep. Yeah, I would say a lot of ways you nailed it. So it is the first game in the Micro Versus series.
Yes.
So it's a single screen 2-player game, and it is known as Punch-Out in the United States.
Oh.
It's similar to Urban Champion, although it was released shortly before the NES title. Huh.
Urban Champion.
Oh yeah, so looking at the screen, it's so the system itself, it looks like a almost like a Super Nintendo. It's like an oval. It's a long oval, and it has a very like thin but long screen. It's another rectangle screen.
Yeah.
But it's like the rectangles on its side, and it looks like it's just a very large boxing ring. Like your perspective is from the front of it. There's the like poles and ropes in the back.
Well, and this is also one where the like little controllers are like tucked into it, right? Because there are no button inputs on the front of it. So I think we count that as a win.
Yeah, I think we count that as a win.
I think it's interesting that it was known as Punch-Out in the States. I think that's cool. All right, next up is Donkey Kong 3.
Probably just what's on the tin, right? We've seen iterations of Donkey Kong Jr. I'm guessing it's just basically Donkey Kong 3.
But Donkey Kong 3 never gets iterated on. Like,
but maybe this is the exception.
But maybe I'm wrong. I guess I didn't know about Greenhouse before this either. Here's my guess. My guess is that this is a just like regular Donkey Kong experience, just like another variation on what we've seen for Donkey Kong.
Okay, let's take a look.
Donkey Kong 3. So it's a 2-player. I'm looking at the screen. Oh man, I cannot tell what this is. Oh no, yeah. So there is a spray button. So I think you might be right that it is. Although the graphic on here has Donkey Kong himself holding the bug sprayer.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
A Versus series Game & Watch version of the arcade game has different gameplay. In this version, player 1 controls Stanley the Bugman, and the computer player or player 2 controls Donkey Kong in a duel against each other using exterminating spray cans to move the bees to the other side of them to make the bees sting their opponents.
Amazing.
That's actually pretty great.
Yeah.
Players can only hold up to 3 amounts of spraying liquid in their spray cans. On one player mode, the higher player won. The higher whatever. The grammar of this doesn't make sense. I refuse to engage with it.
Don't unpack it.
This actually seems more fun than Donkey Kong 3, like as we know it today.
Yeah. This is again. I don't know how many times I'm going to say this. The actual physical piece of equipment that is the Game & Watch Micro Versus System Donkey Kong 3 looks incredible. The colors on it are amazing. The graphics, the little controllers, it's just stunning.
Okay, up next.
Do we count that one as getting it or not getting it?
No, we definitely sadly did not get that one correct.
How could we have guessed competitive Donkey Kong 3?
And yet, now that I know it exists, I hope that it's playable in some form today.
Donkey Kong Circus is up next.
To me, this feels like them capitalizing on Donkey Kong Mania. I would not. Didn't we have another game
Lion
that was like this feels to me like a reskin of an existing Game & Watch game.
So that's gonna be my guess as well. But with the caveat that since we are in this run right now, it may be a multiplayer.
Oh sure,
but I don't think that's.
I think you're right. I think you're right. It'll probably be another one of the versus games. Okay, Donkey Kong Circus. I mean, the sad version of this would be like Donkey Kong is caught in a cage. I mean, actually, that's probably like all. That's Donkey Kong 2.
Right.
Okay. Oh, okay. I keep saying that. Game & Watch Panorama Series game released in 1984 as an edit to an earlier Mickey Mouse game. In this game, the player controls Donkey Kong, who is placed on a barrel while juggling pineapples and avoiding flames. This game is very similar to Mario the Juggler, which, spoiler alert, but also what earlier Mickey Mouse game?
Well, so so there was Mickey Mouse,
which was the
egg one. Is that what it means?
Placed on a barrel while juggling pineapples and avoiding flames.
I mean, that sort of sounds like Popeye to me.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get it right.
That
much is for sure.
It just says an earlier Mickey Mouse game. I wonder if they actually mean if they just knew that it was an earlier licensed game and didn't know exactly which. Although there is a citation here. Leads us to a very old. Oh yeah, using the Wayback Machine. All right. Well, we're not going to solve this one here, Mark. My guess is, whatever information said that it was an update of a game that they lost the license for, but it was probably that Popeye game.
Yeah, that feels like. Yeah, feels more right to me.
Let's revisit it when we get to Mario the Juggler.
Okay.
Which we now know.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're just going to count that one as green.
Okay, Donkey Kong Hockey on a real run of Donkey Kong doing stuff games.
Donkey Kong Hockey. This one's got to be a 2-player game, right?
It's got to be 2-player. It's got to be hockey. Donkey Kong versus Stanley the Bugman. Donkey Kong versus Mario.
Donkey Kong versus another monkey that doesn't have a name. Also, Donkey Kong Hockey. Release that now on the Switch. A game called Donkey Kong Hockey.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like in the spirit of Super Mario Strikers.
Oh my gosh! Yes, Mark. Yes.
Also, I'm counting this one as a win because Donkey Kong Hockey, the hockey features Donkey Kong is one of the players and Mario is the other.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm counting that as a win.
We nailed it. And it's another one with the two controllers that are like housed inside the casing of the thing. Next up, Blackjack. I'm guessing that's Blackjack.
I'm guessing that's Blackjack as well.
Like just the normal card game, you hit or you stand.
And we are right. It is one of the dual screen, again, looking like a Nintendo DS clamshell type game. The dealer's hand is on the upper screen and the player's hand is on the bottom screen.
Perfect. Nailed it. We did it. Next up is Tropical Fish. Tropical Fish. Is it like, I'm going to pitch something, but this will not be it. That it's like an aquarium and you have to like balance the pH in it.
It's like a simulation game.
It's
Sid Meier's Tropical Fish on the Game & Watch. I am going to guess that you play as the titular tropical fish,
Hmm.
and you're trying to eat food as it is put into the tank.
I mean,
So it's like falling from the
Yeah.
screen, and you're just trying to like eat it before it like hits the ground.
do you think, and this doesn't have to necessarily be part of it. We'll go with your thing. Are you in a bowl, a tank, or the ocean?
Oh. So maybe I take it back. Maybe you're in the ocean and you're trying to avoid
being
like
caught.
hooks.
Yeah, there
from,
we
like,
go.
There's like boats at the top. Or do you think you are the boat, the person in the boat, and you're trying to catch the fish by like
Boy.
lowering? So the fish is like going all over the screen, and you're like lowering the hook in the bait up and down, and you're trying to catch the fish.
There is no consistency to whether the games are named after the protagonist or antagonist.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I feel like in the past we've tried to like when like octopus, you don't play as the octopus.
Right.
So I'm gonna guess in tropical fish you don't play as the tropical fish. So I'm gonna guess that you're a fisherman trying to catch a fish.
The player uses a fishbowl to catch fish that jump out of a tank and must move them to a tank on the other side. So I think we missed that one.
I do think we missed that one.
So you're walking around in front of aquariums. This is a back to
It's like
basics.
a Free Willy situation.
Yeah.
Wait,
what?
let's not think on it too much. Just enjoy the reference.
All right, good.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right,
Fair enough.
We got it wrong, but this is another one where, like, looking at it, the design of it is pretty cool and very strange. Just like it. I like all of these. Next up is Squish.
Okay, perhaps you're in some sort of like factory, and you know, there's like pistons coming in from each side that are like, and they're like from the top, bottom, and middle.
Yeah.
And so you're just trying to move out of the way and guess which like piston is going to fire next.
Yeah, that makes as much sense as anything. Squish, man, that is a very Squish. Okay, hold on. It's similar to Devil World?
But okay, so Devil World is like a maze, right? And like
Yeah.
and Satan is like pointing
And
in different directions.
He moves
to
the
tell
whole
you,
screen around. Oh boy, Mark, do you have more information on this one?
No, and I'm looking at the I'm looking at the Game & Watch itself, and it doesn't look like anything like Devil World, unless they've okay, hold on. We're doing it. We're watching.
Oh my gosh.
We're watching video.
Yeah. Who is it?
Okay, so
shout out the channel.
It is the game display. Okay, so this is how Squish works. There is a kind of like furry monster at the top of the screen, and he is on the top screen. This is another Nintendo DS style one.
Yeah.
He's on the top screen, and there are signs on the top screen that say up, left, right, and down. And so, and then on the bottom screen is essentially like a grid.
Oh yeah, so kind of like Devil World.
Yes, exactly.
So he's moving the.
So there's like
around?
there's a maze that appears on the bottom screen, and it's like scrolling from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Or it scrolls from left to right, right to left, or up or down, depending on which way this little like furry monster is pointing. So yeah, it is actually very much like Devil World. And Patrick, I want to show you the cover of Squish. Like when the clamshell is closed, it has art on the front, and it's actually pretty cute. There's two little like monster looking things, and they remind me a little bit of the viruses from
100%.
Dr. Mario.
Yes.
It's actually, I went from really hating this based on the fact that I couldn't find any information on it to really loving it. The art style is very endearing.
And also like Squish, bad name.
Bad name, for sure.
Hard to tell what that product is. So hard that we didn't get it right. Next up, number 40, Mark. We've only got 8 more of these to go. Super Mario Brothers.
This has to be just like a kind of side-scrolling. You play as Mario. There's some hazards. You're jumping up and down.
I mean, I guess we just saw in Squish that there's a lot of scrolling there, but like
before this, I would have said no, but now I say I think it's possible.
Also, just pointing out here, it's 1986, so we are getting like late in the Game & Watch's life, and to the point where like its utility is sort of irrelevant. We're 3 years away from the Game Boy.
Right.
I think this is just a Super Mario Brothers like castle level, and like ends in a Bowser showdown where you have to jump over him,
interesting.
and maybe like avoid some like fireballs or something like that. That's my guess.
Okay. Mario has to go through levels to save Princess Toadstool, also known as Peach, similar to the NES game.
Wow. And honestly, looking at this thing, my specifics are wrong. But the levels are, obviously as rudimentary as could possibly be.
Yeah. But it looks like it is just essentially like a really rudimentary platformer.
What do we count that as? We got it right or we got it wrong?
I'm going to count it as yellow.
Yellow is good.
Because we kind of got it right.
Next up is Climber.
This has got to be capitalizing on, I guess it's too early for Cliffhanger.
Oh. What year did Cliffhanger come out? Like 90 or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds right.
1993. 1993. Ooh, sorry.
So it was trend setting. Cliffhanger is obviously influenced by Climber, this Game & Watch game that we have to define.
Is Climber just like the non-ice version of Ice Climber?
It wouldn't surprise me if it's something like that. It's either that where like you have to platform up, because we've reached to the point where there are rudimentary platformers in this, right?
Which
so
is
no
absolutely
reason
wild.
Instead of side scrolling, you couldn't just do vertical scrolling.
Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking is that it's some sort of, if we're thinking more like the old school Game & Watch games, it's so interesting as we're doing this, like to see how the gameplay evolves.
Yeah.
Because my mind really thinks of Game & Watch as like these very basic like ball type games.
Right.
So Climber could be a lot, but my mind is still in that like early Game & Watch mode. So thinking it's some sort of like you're a rock climber trying to scale up while things are being like dropped and you have to avoid them.
That's what makes the most sense to me. And we could even be scrolling within that, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But I think that's probably what it is, that you are like, it's like rock climber style climbing.
So this is a new widescreen, part of the new widescreen series. And
it is similar to Ice Climber. A boy known as the Climber sets out for Block Mountain, where the Blockmen live, to train as a warrior. What? Lord Meiji, who he meets along the way, grants him a pair of boots which enable him to jump very high, armor that can break ceilings, and a headband which can help him and find a sword that can defeat Dragalo the dragon. The Climber pursues his quest with the assistance of the mysterious bird Hentori. The objective of the game is to control Climber by jumping through a tower of platforms and landing on them, and by avoiding monsters and blockmen. The goal is to either grab Hentori or slash Dragalo while achieving the highest score possible.
Wow.
Okay, so like Ice Climber was the right call.
Yeah, totally. It's like some weird mashup, it feels like, between Ice Climber and like Kid Icarus.
Wow.
I think I'm going to give you green.
You can give me green on that one?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I cannot believe the amount of lore I just said.
Bring back
the Climber cinematic universe.
Hentori for Smash.
No, Dragalo.
I mean, there's on the Climber machine itself, there's little art of Climber and of Hentori. And Climber kind of has like a Mega Man thing going for him a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But like, is he wearing headphones, or are those just like ear?
Yeah, it's hard to
muffs?
know. Yeah.
Wow. Wild. I want to get my hands on this game.
Next up is Balloon Fight, which I feel confident in saying is
Balloon
Fight.
Yeah, I think you are absolutely right. Balloon Fight, of course, being the NES game where you are controlling a little dude with balloons. You're trying to pop other dudes' balloons before they pop yours. Let's see. This game is modeled after the balloon trip mode of the NES version. That's interesting. The screen scrolls from toward the left automatically, and the player must collect balloons while avoiding airborne sparks. So that's interesting that it's using the sort of like second mode of Balloon Fight.
So I'm gonna give us yellow.
I think you're right.
Bomb Sweeper up next.
Is that just Minesweeper?
I mean, good as guess as any. Here we go. Oh my gosh, another one with some lore. The player character is John Solver,
Oh my
who must
god.
navigate a maze to defuse bombs set by, quote, Jack. When playing on Game A mode, the maze begins to move from left to right after a certain number of bombs are defused, and the player must find an exit back to the surface. The top screen is merely cosmetic and shows the boss who sends the player character into the underground maze. Unlike in most Game & Watch games, lost lives are not reset when a player reaches 300 points. How interesting. So this is, again, like another
Almost Devil World.
clamshell. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Oh yeah, no, but yes, totally. Almost Devil World, except that Jack is not like directing which direction it's going to scroll. This is another one that has kind of amazing art of the characters.
Yeah.
On the machine itself. Jack is like kind of wearing he kind of looks like the Phantom from Phantom of the Paradise. And John Solver looks like a GI from 1940s like war propaganda poster.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and we're seeing John Solver on what I believe would be where a button would go, but there is no button here.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just his face.
And so there's just purely a
movement.
a D-pad.
Wow.
Fun.
John Solver and Jack. We got that one wrong. Next up is Safe Buster.
Ooh, I hope you play as a criminal.
Well, I mean, I think you have to be like a bank robber. Look, we have to go into like deep lore mode now, right? So you're robbing banks to pay for your daughter's chemotherapy treatments. You and her mom broke up a while ago, but like she still loves you.
Your name is Cliff Buster.
There we go. Mark, let's go to the description. A security guard on the bottom screen uses a tube to catch bombs thrown by a bandit on the top screen. So, okay, you are protecting the safe. You are not trying to break
lame.
into the safe.
No, I mean, red, but with a badge of honor, because
Yeah.
that is a lame game. Gold Cliff.
Ooh. Okay, so this is a Cheers game where you're delivering the mail in Boston.
You are just a few years away from retirement. And so this is in the like far future Cheers. And so, Cliff, this is like 30 years from when Cliff was Cliff in Cheers, where he's like 30, right?
Cliff is younger than we are now, yes.
Try to follow the math. And then so you're trying to earn your gold watch, your gold like retirement watch.
Oh, there we go.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's why it is Gold Cliff.
We're wrong, but here's what it actually is the player controls an Indiana Jones type archaeologist character who is on a mission to acquire treasure. Stone platforms appear and disappear in a pattern, and the player must jump across them to reach a key at the top of the screen and gain entry to the temple. Action speeds up, blah, blah, blah,
That's
blah,
fun.
blah.
I like that one.
Yeah, I like that too. It's another clamshell, like dual screen. Oh my gosh, I know we keep saying it, but like the art actually printed on this thing, there's like a little picture of your Indiana Jones style dude. Looks like he's got a sword and a hat with like a W on it. It's not clear, and he's fighting a crab that's on the other side of the
And
machine.
it's this great blue color. Oh my gosh,
the color is amazing.
Yes, man. Up next is just Zelda. We're down to the last two here.
Right. So Zelda. Could this possibly be one where they like try to do a whole like LCD dungeon?
Do you think it's a dungeon or do you think it's the overworld? Those were my only two guesses.
I think it's a dungeon. My
okay,
guess
so you're
is a
like,
dungeon.
yeah.
And at the end you fight that like dragon boss thing at the end of the first level of Zelda. That's my guess.
I think that's a really good guess. One, and it feels like two screen is the flavor of the day here.
Yeah.
So yep, I feel good about that.
Okay, it is not clear.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Players control Link and fight through labyrinth chambers on the Game & Watch lower screen. In the labyrinth chambers, Link faces Poe-like ghosts, up to 4 Stalfos, and a Moblin-like goblin mini-boss. Stalfoses and ghosts cannot be defeated and must be dodged and blocked with a shield respectively. The goblin must be killed in order to complete the lower screen labyrinth. Once the labyrinth is complete, stairs appear and the action shifts to the dragon's lair in the upper screen. Here, Link battles a dragon on the right-hand side of the screen, there you go, Patrick, while avoiding its flat fire and tail attacks. The left-hand side of the screen displays the dungeon map and items such as the tomahawk item, unique to this game. that Link gains while fighting the dragon. Upon defeating the dragon, the game starts again with quicker enemies and retaining the player's high score. This Game & Watch game also features a continue button that allows players to continue the game in the event of the player's death. Here's the plot.
Oh my god.
8 unruly dragons are creating havoc in the world. After they kidnap Princess Zelda, it is up to Link to defeat them and rescue the princess. The dragons have imprisoned Zelda behind a seal that requires all 8 pieces of the Triforce to unlock. After defeating each dragon, Link gains 1 piece of the Triforce.
What do 8 dragons want with a princess? This one, is it side-scrolling?
It seems like it is not. It seems like the bottom screen, all the action takes place on like the bottom screen, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, until you get to the boss fight.
Right.
But on the bottom screen, like, so if you look at the inputs, there's a D-pad, and the D-pad, left, right, and up are all labeled with arrows pointing in those direction. But down is Water of Life. So presumably that's like a item that restores some health. I don't think you can actually move up, down, left, or right in this. I think you're moving just left and right. And up is like to go up like ladders or something.
Wow. Let me see if I can find a video real fast.
Yeah, I think this is one where it would be useful. Also, we talked about both the Zelda Game & Watch and the Zelda Watch on our modernizing all the Zelda games. And I don't think we properly understood what this game was at that time.
No. Okay, so here appears to be the deal.
Yeah.
Is that Link is on the bottom screen, and I don't know that it's scrolling or if the enemies just show up on it, but there are 2 levels that he can be on.
Yeah, but that's side-scrolling. I mean, it's
Well,
like a side view.
It's a side view, yes.
Yeah.
But okay, so this is how it works. It's the single screen. It is not scrolling, but it's like you're on the screen, enemies appear, you defeat them, a ladder appears, and you go up a screen in quotes. But really, it's just like the same bottom screen refreshes with a new set of enemies for you to attack. And then that happens a number of times before the screen like opens up again.
Wow, man.
And the dragon appears on the top.
The number of like differently articulated like body parts and whatever for like just to animate Link doing what he does, it's kind of incredible.
Yeah, and like the dragon is, as far as like Game & Watch characters, is so sophisticated.
Yeah.
Like is a big like sprite, for lack of a better term, a big like character, has a lot of movement. Pretty cool.
I think we got this one wrong.
I think we did too.
If anything, it's more in common with a dungeon from Zelda 2.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. And then finally, Mario the Juggler, which we decided is exactly like
Donkey Kong Circus.
Right. Wait, was it Donkey Kong Circus?
Pretty sure, right?
It was the one that, it is a Donkey Kong game.
I'm pretty sure Donkey Kong Circus, because that was the one that we were like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Donkey Kong Circus.
Okay, so Mario the Juggler.
It is the final game to be released in the Game & Watch series.
And then it says the gameplay is similar to that of Ball. What?
Yeah, it is. It is seemingly identical to Ball, which means I think that we're just basing this off of Wikipedia. So I think that it is incorrect to say that it is like a Mickey Mouse game.
Yeah, I think that's because there is no Mickey Mouse Ball, unless there is, and it's just not included on this list.
Yeah. I am watching video of Donkey Kong Circus. This is so weird. To me, it does not seem like Donkey Kong Circus is like Mario the Juggler. It is Mario the Juggler-esque, but essentially what is happening is Donkey Kong Circus is on a barrel on the bottom screen, and pineapples are dropping from the top. And so his job is you go back and forth, and your job is just not to let the pineapples drop on the ground.
Right.
And to avoid like flames that are coming out of barrels.
Yeah, I understand there being like some ball DNA there, but like it's a totally different game.
Well,
All
it
right.
is certainly not like any of the Mickey Mouse games.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. All right. So look, Mark, we've learned a couple things here. Do you want to total up the score while I go through some of the things that we've learned?
Perfect. Yeah.
So something that we've learned here today is that while you and I are neophytes, we still did a pretty good job of guessing.
We did decent.
We did decent. I feel like we're going to come in just below 50%. But that our scholarship on these things seems to be about in line with everyone else's scholarship on these things, right? There is so much misinformation and so much like half piece of information. There's so much here. Mark, you and I can now like dig into really researching, really understanding what these things are as we move forward. I'm very excited. It seems like there's a lot to wrap our heads around here.
Yeah, and there's a lot of games that I'm like excited to try.
Yeah. And I'm man, I'm gonna have to like go on eBay now and try and find some of these things. I'm looking at them. I'm genuinely excited to like find some and actually get the. We're gonna play the Game & Watch collections on DS and 3DS or I guess they're on Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
Yeah, but I do see the appeal of owning some of these machines for sure.
Totally.
Okay, so here's the final tally. We had 17 correct.
Okay.
4-ish correct.
Okay.
Where, we were like, we got elements of it. And then 26 incorrect.
Okay, so I was not right. We're closer to like a third, getting like a third of them right. I'm okay with that.
I feel like I learned a lot.
Yeah, me too. All right, Mark, let's close this out. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Thank you for joining us on this crazy adventure. We look forward to talking more about Game & Watch in the weeks to come. Please remember to rate, review, and follow us on Apple Podcasts if you like the episode. Share it on Facebook or Twitter or wherever you share stuff. We appreciate it when you do that. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at NinCart Society. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying we are also not like a Mickey game. And thank you for listening.
Imagine a podcast. Now, imagine a musical. Now, imagine the two of them made 1 million babies. Well, you don't have to imagine it, because it's real, and it has a name. 1 million musicals. Each month, we bring you a brand new, original podcast musical featuring talent from across Broadway, films, and TV. You'll hear tales of spooky ghosts, Wild West shootouts, adventures on the high seas, and much, much more. 1 million musicals. Only a few 100,000 to go.
A Campfire Media podcast.
Campfire.